Hello and welcome to Jason Talks Geek. I'm Jason M. and I like to talk about geeky things with geeky people, including this person right here on a geeky couch. What's your name? Who are you?
I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
That's right. She's a geeky person. She likes to talk about geeky things. And today the subject is Star Trek. Now, we're going to be things a little bit different. Normally do a longer show. There wasn't that much news that broke this week, so we're going to talk about Star Trek Destiny because Catherine Brody on Facebook asked, who would you most like to see on Star Trek Discovery? Now, that's very specifically about casting news. We'll maybe get to that. That's going to be a little bit hard to really talk about specifics about casting because how the hell are we going to know who they're casting?
No, we don't know. We could make some shots in the dark, but that's all they're going to be.
Exactly. So let's just go off. Let's tell you what we know about Star Trek Discovery a little bit more, and then let's just talk about general and see what we think about that show.
Cool.
So Star Trek Discovery was originally slated for a January release. It was pushed back to May of 2017. According to Bryan Fuller, the showrunner, the first season will be 13 episodes that will tell one complete story over the course of the season instead of a new self-contained story with each episode. Now, Fuller has revealed that the ship is called Discovery for a few reasons, and this series is set 10 years before the start of the original Star Trek television series and will unfold within the Prime universe. Now, of course, the Kelvin universe is the Star Trek Beyond universe. The Prime universe is Captain Kirk.
Original television
William
show.
Shatner, yes.
Yeah.
Now, he said 10 years before the start of the original series, or before Where No Man Has Gone Before, which would set it in the same year as The Cage. He has also told Ain't It Cool News that the female lead character will be referred to as number one throughout much of the first season and won't be the captain of a new ship. So, the question by Catherine was, who do you want to see? But let's talk about what we want to see.
Okay.
Now, we've seen a picture of the ship. We kind of know what the ship looks like. I'm not a huge fan of the design of it, even though it's very similar to the Ralph McQuarrie ship images. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, okay?
The space elephant in the room.
Yes, if there's such a thing. We've seen those in Blue Lanterns. There's a Blue Lantern elephant thing. Look it up.
Dumb.
All right, so do you think we will have a crossover with any of the characters seen in the original Star Trek pilot, The Cage? It's set in the same year.
I am going to hazard that we are not going to see a lot of Captain Pike because even though Captain Pike does lead The Cage, he's the lead of the original Star Trek pilot, he is a character that has been very embraced by the Kelvin universe. He's a big part of that. He's a big part of launching Kirk's career and basically being a surrogate father to him. So I think that retreading that ground in a Prime universe show, I think would be a mistake.
Okay.
I do think the fact that we know that this lieutenant who's supposed to be the lead, although the lead of every Star Trek show is a character, so to me that's
called number one.
So to me that's Bryan Fuller just trying to grab a headline. I don't think you call her number one without making it the same character. And if you watch the Cage pilot, Majel Barrett does a really good job.
Majel Barrett's a really good character on that pilot. She to me alongside Mr. Spock, because if you don't know the story, they made The Cage. NBC didn't like it at all, and it had Majel Barrett as number one, Jeffrey Hunter as Captain Pike, and Leonard Nimoy as Mr. Spock. The only one they kept was Leonard Nimoy as Mr. Spock. But I was gonna say, I think that Majel Barrett as number one is the second character on there that if we could have kept one character, I would have kept her.
And I hope that, and I think that because Bryan Fuller is a really TOS fanboy, that is deep in his heart, that maybe he has that same kind of feeling, and this is, I hope it's her story.
I'm glad you said that because I was going to bring this up that's exactly who I hope this character is. I hope this is the Majel Barrett number one character. I hope that maybe Star Trek Discovery ends with her getting on the Enterprise and going off on the mission towards the Cage.
Interesting. Or maybe it picks up right post-Enterprise.
One of the two.
Yeah.
One of the two. I hope we directly lead off the Cage because I don't think you set it in the same year as the Cage without having some sort of weird connection. And the weird thing about it is that he said that he really wanted this to bridge the gap between the Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise, and TOS. Whereas I think, weirdly, this is going to be a show that seems like that might bridge The Cage, which doesn't look anything like William Shatner Star Trek to William Shatner.
Yeah, they're all wearing yellow turtlenecks. It's kind of strange.
Yeah. Is there any? Are there any character actors out there, male or female, that you would love to see pop up on this show in some type of role?
There are two. Okay. Now, I don't necessarily know who I would like to take on the role of number one.
Okay.
To me, that's going to be a really difficult casting choice, and I think they're probably going to go with an unknown for that
100%.
part. They're going to want someone who can make their name and define themselves by this role like they've done with a lot of their characters in the past.
Yep.
I think we are going to get some well-known character actors in other roles. I want to see Margot Martindale as an admirable. Admirable. She's very as an admiral or like a leader of like an alien race.
Now, explain who Margot Martindale for anybody in case they don't know.
If you don't know, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Margot Martindale is the villainess of the second season of Justified. She won an Emmy for that role. She also appeared on The Americans. She's in BoJack Horseman right now. She's a really talented older lady character.
Now, can I play devil's advocate with you?
Sure.
I love Margot Martindale. But this is set in the future, and they don't show too many overweight people on Star Trek.
Well, that's why
Devil's advocate. I love Margot Martindale. I wish she was on the show. But devil's advocate.
You're right. That's why I said maybe like an alien leader, like a Jawiin type character, like someone who leads a religious sect or is like a government official.
Aliens.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Not to fat shame, but your Starfleet is a military operation. They tend to be trim people.
There has not been an overweight. I mean, most of that is Hollywood casting.
Of course.
But we haven't seen an overweight Starfleet member, with the exception of maybe
until they get really old in the movies.
With maybe the exception of Chief O'Brien and the movies.
Yeah.
But when they start out, they're very trim.
Yes. I would also really like. I think if the captain is not going to be the lead, which I don't think is true.
You think they're lying to us?
I totally think it's a lie. I said I think it's a move to grab headlines.
Okay.
I think the lieutenant will be a very important character, but your captain is always your lead. Like. That's the structure of the show. That's a hierarchy that your characters function within. It sort of is a given. I would love to see, like we did with Deep Space Nine and like we did with Voyager, take a chance to put someone who's not a white guy in the position of power.
Okay.
And I would really love to see somebody Middle Eastern. So, of course, the person who immediately comes to mind is Naveen Andrews, Syed on Lost. He's working on Sense8, but I'm pretty sure that he would also work for a CBS digital budget.
I don't think they're coming back for season 2 of Sense8.
I don't. And I think he's fabulous. I think he's good looking, and I think he's got enough clout that you could put him in the captain's position.
Yes.
And people would show up just for him.
Nice.
Do you have any strong feelings about who you would like to have show up?
I've said this on Geek History Lesson before. I really want Jimmy Smits to be the captain because I think he has the gravitas. He is ethnic as well. I agree with you. Let's not make the captain a white guy.
Yeah.
Let's do somebody. Let's go to another. And there has not been a Hispanic captain.
There has not.
I think Naveen Andrews would be a good choice, but Jimmy Smits has that gravitas. I think that is enough to pull in people that wouldn't watch Star Trek. Number one is tough. I think that's very interesting. You know, somebody who I would love to see on this show and who I think would make an amazing alien adversary.
Who?
Michael Emerson. Michael Emerson, Ben.
I should have guessed that for you.
Ben from Lost, or he was also on Person of Interest.
He leads Person of Interest.
Yeah, he is the lead. He's Finch on Person of Interest. I think he would be an amazing character actor under some makeup, kind of like Jeffrey Combs for Jawiin.
Yes.
He'd be that type of person. Here's the thing. Do you want the show to have like a specific mission, or do you want them to just explore? I have a feeling they're going to have a specific mission, and I have a feeling it's against the Klingons.
They tend to have specific missions. Personally, I'm not interested in Klingons, like as a race. I'm just not very interested in Klingons. We've done a ton with the Klingons. I know, given the period of Star Trek history that we're in,
it's going to be the Klingons.
It's the 4 Years' War, so or right around that time.
The 4-year war. We don't talk. Not canon.
Well, whatever. There's a big Klingon thing going on. Whatever.
They're right in the middle of hostilities with the Klingons.
Yeah. That's something that I'm really not excited to see more of. I think this would be a great opportunity to explore the Andorians more, because that's something that we started towards the end of Enterprise. Speaking of Jeffrey Combs, which was really interesting. And the Andorians are a linchpin in forming the Federation.
They're one of the founding races.
And compared to humans and Vulcans, we know almost nothing about them.
Well, the funny thing about it, though, is think about Vulcans. Yeah, we got tidbits of them here and there because of Spock, but we didn't really learn a lot about the Vulcans until Enterprise. Like, they didn't really become a fully fledged race until Enterprise.
You did get some of the weird spiritualism, though. Like, a mock time touches a lot back on their weird sort of cultural
and Search for Spock and Voyage Home. You got little tidbits. But, like, we didn't learn what they were as a culture, and they maybe made some missteps on Enterprise. I do think they made some missteps.
I'll agree.
But I do think that also one of the strengths of Enterprise was that we got to learn so much of the Vulcans. So you said that, like, it'd be cool if this was the case for the Andorians.
Yeah, that's what I would really like to see.
Well, Bryan
explored.
Fuller did tweet a picture of a little antennae out there.
And you know what? You could still call Jeffrey Combs and just put him under all that makeup. Yep. He would be so kick-ass. I actually think it's kind of sad that Jolene Blalock played T'Pol and will never come back to Star Trek because she would be a really great number one.
No, let's not go number one. She would be age appropriate to still be able to show up in this show.
Oh, as T'Pol?
As T'Pol.
Oh, I would die.
T'Pol
would still be alive.
Because
Bryan Fuller.
Yes.
I just need you to do this for me.
T'Pol's still alive because T'Pau, who appears in a mock time, appears in Enterprise. So
you blew my mind. That would be so amazing.
There is nothing to say that Ambassador T'Pol could not show up in this show. And to be honest with fact, she is her and Shran could show up too.
Yeah.
Andorians live long lives. Everybody in the Star Trek universe lives long lives except for humans. So every Shran or T'Pol could both show up in that show. Man, they'll never do it.
No.
But it would make me love the show if T'Pol showed up.
I would forgive everything else they ever did if T'Pol showed back up.
You know, I have a feeling that I have a feeling that this show is gonna be a specific mission. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that this show is gonna be some sort of classified mission.
You think these guys might be like a secret ops?
Yes, I think they're gonna be a secret ops. I think this show is gonna name drop Section 31 a couple of times.
That'd be cool.
They're Starfleet's covert ops thing, but I don't know. I don't really know what I want the show to be. Mm-hmm. But I do want the show to be something I haven't seen before. If it feels exactly like Star Trek Voyager or Star Trek Enterprise or TNG.
Or any of it.
I'm bored.
And I know we just geeked out really hard about the potential inclusion of these characters from Enterprise, but I think that where Discovery could get into problems is it is set during a period of time that we know a lot about. It risks falling into fan service.
It risks falling into fan service as being purely a prequel to TOS.
Yeah.
Because if they go to the planet of the Cloud Minders, or they go to the planet with the gangster people, or we meet Kor in it, and Kang, the very famous Klingons, that's where it could start going in problems. I really want to discover a brand new part of the Star Trek universe that I've never seen before. That's what I want. That's the thing that Star Trek Beyond gave me that Star Trek Into Darkness did not. Something new. Something brand new, which was to me was the main fault with Star Trek Into Darkness. We launched this whole new universe, but you're just going to show me the same things I've seen before? No. At least Beyond, I got to meet some new characters, I got to see a new planet, and I got to see a starbase that looks nothing like we've ever seen before.
Yeah, Yorktown was really cool.
And that is something that I don't like the ship design of Discovery, at least it's something we've never seen before.
At least it's not another Enterprise.
Yes.
I know a lot of people, and I'm going to group you by saying particularly people in the old guard really want it to be an Enterprise and really feel like to be Star Trek, it has to be the Enterprise. Yep. But for me, the greatest realization of Star Trek was the community that we grew with on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
And I would be excited if this new Discovery ship, whatever that turns out to be, however it looks compared to what we've already seen, I hope that we get to build up that community in the same way.
Yes.
And that microcosm. That could be cool.
Cool. All right, so those are our thoughts on Star Trek Discovery. Guys, don't forget to click subscribe. We're doing things a little bit different here. We got a lot of new shows coming out for you that we really want you guys to check out. A bunch of new crazy stuff. So you got to subscribe to do that because we want to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And we need your help to do that. So tell your friends if you haven't seen the show. And don't forget, Geek History Lesson every Tuesday. An awesome podcast where we teach you all kinds of stuff. And when Star Trek Discovery actually blows up or appears, we'll be talking about Star Trek things. I can guarantee it. Ashley, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ashley V. Robinson. You can find me on Facebook.com/AshVictoriaRobinson.
Dropping the Facebook. Look at that. Guys, don't forget, you can follow Jawiin on Facebook at Jawiin TV. Facebook.com/Jawiin TV. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Jawiin. I'll be seeing you next week with more kinds of stuff, more discussion videos like this because there wasn't enough news. I'll be seeing you next week, you Star Trek monkeys.